This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. This is episode 94. This is a jam-packed episode today. We've got a lot of information to get through, such as the reported first match of AEW on TNT, as well as Roman Reigns taking some shots at AEW. We've got a little bit of an injury report on Bobby Lashley, as well as we've got our Summerslam predictions. Going to see if the Doc increases his lead or if the Jock climbs back into the leader's seat himself, as well as taking a look at Raw and Smackdown. And doing it with me, as always, he is the one, he is the only, he is my cousin, the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Woo! I can't wait to talk wrestling this week. Obviously, whenever a promotion comes to your town and they put on a show, there's something to talk about, something to dive into, and a returning legend is going to take part in SummerSlam. No, it's not the DOC. Goldberg makes his return, obviously, to erase that stench that people had from his last appearance versus The Undertaker. I do think there will be some redemption there for him. Raw, SmackDown, AEW, pay-per-views. I love it. The one regret, though, cuz I have this week, being that I'm a hard worker, I really do regret not going out to Cricket Wireless to meet Charlotte. She looked good rocking the shorts. She was posting photos online. Now, there has been a little bit of debate regarding has some of the procedures she's done to her face helped her or hurt her. I don't care about stuff like that. I just said, wow, it would have been great to meet the multi-time WWE Women's Champion. It didn't happen. Maybe there'll be an opportunity at a WrestleMania or another meet and greet, but a great week of wrestling to talk about, brother. What'd you think of Raw?
So I thought Raw was actually really, really good. For a go-home show, right, for one of your largest pay-per-views of the year, I thought this was pretty solid. I thought overall you helped further storylines along. I thought you did a couple interesting things. There were some lowlights to it, but overall, I thought Raw was pretty decent. As far as the women go, and that's kind of where I want to start this conversation, because we had two big events regarding the women. And I feel like at some point, creative has decided just to kind of mail things in on the lady side. We started the evening off with this tag team match where Charlotte gets lumped with Becky, and mind you, we had 8 months now worth of storylines where Becky and Charlotte hate each other, but now they have to work as a tag team, and then you get Natalya and Trish Stratus on the other end, and you kind of get like this weird heel turn from Natalya. It was like this just flat, half-assed storyline for the ladies to start Raw, and then later on in the evening, we get brand new WWE female tag champions, which I was cool with, but it just like at some point it just kind of feels like the women are kind of getting the short end of the stick here.
Yeah, it seems like they've taken a step back. They have been deprioritized, which is weird. I don't know if, Sasha taking time off. I don't know if they've kind of maybe made some decisions that, we had a pay-per-view for the women, that in theory it's a great idea to push the women, but in essence, cause they may be looking at it and saying, when they break down quarter ratings, when they break down interest, when a match is put on, like a gauntlet match, and the crowd shits on it, yeah, people will say that's bogue, you're not supposed to do that, don't overreact, but that does reverberate back to Gorilla. And I can't sit here and say that, the fan reaction to the women doesn't take some place in Vince McMahon's mind and goes, oh man, maybe they're not as popular, especially right now where they're looking for ratings and they're looking for it. Yeah, they are underutilized. I think that across the board with the WWE, the writing is not good. The character development just isn't engaging enough, in my opinion. And yes, it has, quite frankly, taken a step back. The storylines are not as good. I'm not as interested. I don't really care about any of the women's matches on SummerSlam, so that's where it's at, and that's the fault of WWE, no doubt.
Do you think that it's an issue of who's holding the belts? Right now, you've got Bayley holding the Women's SmackDown Championship, and you've got Becky Lynch holding the Raw Championship. So do you think maybe they're just not as captivating? Because, look, as much as I love Becky Lynch, and she's my girlfriend, she has cooled considerably.
Yeah, it's about not being able to tell stories consistently. Yeah, you had Natalya go back and forth with Becky and really start off the feud well, but then it fizzled. And I think because of the fact they're on TV every week, look at AEW. They put on one YouTube show a week, and it previews it, and then you're good for a minute. Because WWE is so overexposed, they got to put out content day in and day out. They have resorted to online beefs and stuff like that, but it's played out. It's not engaging enough. I'm not invested enough in the storylines consistently long enough to say, wow, I'm really into it. Like, in essence, have they really put in the work for any of the female storylines like they have for Seth and Brock Lesnar? No. And I think potentially you might need an advocate. You might need somebody to hype it up. You need basically some of these women to do a lot better job hyping themselves up. Yes, they have cooled off significantly. Becky Lynch's character is not going where I think it should. And I just think that potentially you have a living signification that the women's division is wrong when one of your star talent sits out. So what's that say? That says that, hey, she's not happy, something's wrong. And when we see the matches, obviously, look, you and I, we pay attention to wrestling. When Mandy Rose goes out there and her moveset is not as good, and did you see that botch on Smack? That was horrible. Not good. Yeah. The women's matches aren't as good. They're not as crisp by and large as the men, and that's a problem.
What did you think about Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross winning the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships?
I was okay with it because the Iconics, for some reason, they were a gimmick, but they weren't really fighting champions. And many, many people really didn't give them credibility. Now the tag titles, I think, have credibility.
I think so, too. I don't know if that was the right call to give it to those two. I think maybe the Kabuki Warriors might have been a better choice. I don't know. This was hard. Hopefully, we get a feud coming out of this. Hopefully we get to see the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I think that could be interesting. I think that could be really, really good. I think Paige is exceptional on a microphone, and I think she is a great, as you said, advocate for those two. So I could see something really, really good because Alexa Bliss is phenomenal on a mic, and Nikki Cross is very good as well. So hopefully we get a long storyline out of this, and we get to see something decent with these Women Tag Team Championship belts. Let's move on to Rey Mysterio and Andrade. They had a very, very good match. I was solidly impressed by this. I thought it was awesome. It was gearing me up for SummerSlam. Was this match the perfect setup for a match to take place at SummerSlam?
I thought it was great. I know Rey Mysterio's a legend, and we want to see him kind of be on the victorious side of things, not taking ass whoopings every week from all the legends. But I do like the fact that because it's Rey Mysterio, and what he brings to the table, he can put over guys like Dolph. He can put over guys like Andrade. I think it's a perfect setup. Rey Mysterio, if that's his role and he accepted it, while I don't agree with it, but he has gotten some victories and some wins here and there. But by and large, we know what his role is going to be. It's going to be to put over the talent, and no better guy than Rey Mysterio. Andrade looks good. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Rey Mysterio is a legend. He's awesome. On top of that, him and Andrade have great in-ring chemistry, and you see it week in, week out. So for me, I was really gearing up for some type of match at SummerSlam. Not sure if we're going to get it or not, but if we got it, awesome. If not, hopefully we can have a longer build. I do have some news and notes regarding Rey Mysterio and Andrade in our news and notes segment, so you'll want to stick around for that. The OC. One of the hottest factions in WWE right now. Exceptional. And it really seemed like they picked up a lot of momentum this week on Raw. So originally it starts off as Gallows and Anderson taking on 2/3 of the New Day. AJ Styles intervenes. Next thing you know, you've got Ricochet coming out. So you've got Ricochet and the New Day taking on the entire OC. In the end, the OC do heel tricks, get a victory. I think this is good. This is really, really good. You've got an extremely over talent in Ricochet. You've got an established tag team in the New Day. And now the OC is picking up victories against these guys. By hook or by crook, they're a heel faction. It's supposed to be dirty. I like this. I think this is good. I like the direction that the OC is going. I absolutely hate the name. I think it's stupid. I do like the Master Shredder in a gas mask image. I think that's cool. But the name is absolutely brutal. But I think it's important that they are picking up momentum. This could be your next monster heel faction in WWE.
Many people kind of gravitated toward the face paint of Gallows and Anderson. I was like,
Buddy hated it.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it too much. But yes, they should be over. But do you think that's the way to distinguish yourself with that look? I didn't think so.
With the face paint, no, not unless Anderson's going to do it too. You know? Honestly, when he came out, I was like, "Oh, is this a throwback to the Legion of Doom?
Yeah, what
are we doing here?"
Yeah, I wanted him to come out to shout at the devil. You know? But it
I was waiting
cool.
for shoulder pads with spikes on.
Yeah, but the lazy part, the part of Raw that I know you didn't like probably, and the laziest part is the Viking Raiders continue to squash local competitors, local jobbers. Yeah. I just think that's fine, but not every single week, and I thought that was pretty weak.
At some point, you got to give them talent, right? Like, these guys were super over in ROH. They were super over in New Japan. They're talented. They are. They're super over in NXT. And then you bring them up to the main roster, and they're beating local job guys. It doesn't make sense. And it's like week in, week out. It is lazy. It's like Control-C, Control-V, basically copying and pasting what you did last week. I don't know. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. Did you like Dolph Ziggler versus Goldberg? Is that the direction that we should be headed in here?
Yeah, I mean, it's par for the course. It makes sense, but I'm not really intrigued by it. My idea is that, Goldberg had his last match be an embarrassment, so you want to kind of pump up SummerSlam. You want to continue the storyline with Dolph Ziggler and kind of someone to shut him up. So I'm okay with it. I like the pop. Obviously, Goldberg's a legend. People like to see him. So I think if it's going to be his last match for a while, let him go out on top a little bit. Let him go out looking like a champ instead of looking like a chump.
Yeah, for sure. And so things that were being discussed as far as Goldberg goes, WWE was trying to create this character with Goldberg where when things are going absolutely sideways, he's the guy who comes in and rights the ship. So don't be surprised. Like, I don't think this is Goldberg's last match. This will probably be Goldberg's last match for a little bit. But I think this is going to be the new setup for Bill Goldberg, where he's going to come in, and when you have these young punks kind of running amok, he comes in, he's like the sheriff. He lays down the law. So I'm expecting Goldberg to get a big win here over Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam. This will be interesting to see what they do with his character. I know that there was a little bit of heat on Goldberg because of the way his last match with The Undertaker unfolded and some of the things he posted online and his attitude backstage. So this will be interesting to see kind of how this plays out. Before we transition into SmackDown, what did you think about the Roman Reigns angle? There was a hit and run segment. Samoa Joe is cleared on Monday night as he was at the scene of the crime when Roman Reigns is almost T-boned by a vehicle plowing into his SUV. Samoa Joe comes to the aid of Roman Reigns, helps him out. I think this story has multiple layers, and I kind of want to dive into those really, really quickly. Roman Reigns, good guy all the time, face. He is legitimately the face of the company. Him and Becky Lynch on the cover of WWE 2K. Samoa Joe comes to his aid. I think we're going to see a face Samoa Joe.
Yes,
I think he's going to move away from his heel character, and he is going to become a face. This is going to be interesting because Samoa Joe if you package him correctly and you do things right, he is an exceptional heel. He is freaking awesome. He's also an incredible face. The guy can do everything. It's awesome. So the hope is, for me, that they repackage him in such a way where they give him some validity. He gets a nice little run. He is actually a part of a couple good storylines, and they just don't make a mockery of him, because I think this could be a springboard for Samoa Joe if done and packaged correctly.
100%. I think everyone's been clamoring for Samoa Joe to have more of a role, to be a guy that could be potentially over. And the heel guy, see, here's the problem. The face eventually has to win. And maybe if he's going to have a run, then maybe it's going to be as a face, because the heel was getting beat up a lot. And sometimes, the role of a heel is to put over the face. And so if Samoa Joe's going to get that massive push, it'd be nice to see him get cheered.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I just hope they don't screw it up. That's really my concern. Moving on to SmackDown. So, like last week, Vince McMahon gets a hair in his ass and decided to rewrite all of SmackDown at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Now, SmackDown was here in Detroit. Meanwhile, Eric Bischoff still isn't a part of the creative process. He's just kind of sitting back, taking it all in, watching Vince be a madman. I think you can tell. You can tell when Vince rewrites a show, and you can tell when he rewrites a show at the last minute. This is a go-home show, and I really felt, compared to Raw, it had a lot of lulls and a lot of low points.
And what my note said in regards to the show was the commercials killed the show. If you were there live, it might have been different. But before the show, I was telling you, man, hey, can I get some free tickets? And you're like, huh? No, I don't have that opportunity. And I was like, okay, because I wasn't even going to spend the $20 to go out there, because it's SmackDown, it's different. And I just said, in regards to those that posted pictures, man, they had to tarp up the upper deck. And they've done that for a lot of shows. But for two shows before, now look, before the shows, now look, prior shows, I can understand. I mean, it's Raw, SmackDown, it's every week. People's discretionary dollars are at a limit. People have a budget. But obviously, when it's the two shows before SummerSlam and you can't sell it out in the face of AEW selling out their first show, I just think it's not a good look.
In 3 hours?
Exactly. It's not a good look for WWE. And I just said to you, I said, I kind of want to go out there for an entrance, but do I want to spend 3 hours there? No. And that's an indictment, where in the past, just 3 years ago, or just 90 episodes ago when we were starting this podcast, I was like, damn, I got to get there. I want to get there right away. When they had John Cena and there was a build, I wanted to be there. Now, when WWE comes to town, you're just like, who's going to show up where for signings? I don't really want to take place. I don't really want to take part in the show and go.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was funny when you asked me for the free tickets.
Why not, right?
No, for sure. There was one opportunity where I was able to score some free tickets, and I couldn't use them. I was pissed. But whenever WWE comes into Detroit, they are always at the iHeart Studios all the time. It's actually really, really awesome. It's really, really cool. Kofi Kingston was there. One of the girls that I used to work with, she posted online with her and her kids, and one of her, I think it was her son, was holding the championship. So that was really cool. But I did not have the opportunity to get you some tickets.
And actually, if you would have gave it to me, I would have been sad. The best part of SmackDown for me, and I'll address any questions you have about it, was the main event. It was solid. People were invested. People liked it. The New Day, whenever they're invested in a match, people like it. Their entrance obviously gets a lot of reaction. But I just felt like overall the show was stale, and the commercials just ruined the whole flow. There were some good storyline points and things like that, but overall I felt the show was boring. By and large, the show was boring.
I thought the same exact thing. I was watching it, and I'm like, I should be taking some type of notes here for today's show. And I'm watching, I'm like, that's not really noteworthy. That's not really noteworthy. That's not really noteworthy. For me, I thought the best thing was the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon segment. I thought that was interesting. When Shane McMahon wrestles, and it's not really wrestling, it's more of like a street fight, because he legitimately will throw haymakers in there, and he will legitimately punch you in the face. So you've got to be a special type of competitor to want to get into this match with Shane McMahon. I thought Kevin Owens did a phenomenal job selling all of this. I thought he did a phenomenal job setting it all up. He is the reason that I want to see this match. It's not Shane McMahon. I don't need to see Shane McMahon again. But Kevin Owens, I find to be fascinating right now. I thought he was the best part. You thought the main event was the best part. What did you think about Roman Reigns addressing Buddy Murphy the way he addressed him? Which, thank God, Buddy Murphy got on TV. He's an exceptional athlete. The guy is phenomenal in the ring, and he's got to do this stupid backstage segment where he's getting roughed up by Roman Reigns and made to look like a little bitch. And you find out that Eric Rowan and Daniel Bryan are the ones trying to attack and hurt Roman Reigns. What did you think about this?
It didn't cause a reaction. I wasn't invested in it. Obviously, it's a good feud. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
Pause for a second.
Okay.
Can we talk about why you're not invested?
Okay, because you just feel like Roman Reigns has been at the top for so long. You feel like he needs to be in like a title contention. You feel like he needs to be in there with Brock Lesnar, in there with Samoa Joe, in there with AJ Styles. It just feels like Roman Reigns fighting with the tag team of Daniel Bryan and Rowan just doesn't seem like the investment I want to make right now. I feel like Daniel Bryan needs to be getting into a feud with like Andrade. He needs to continue feuds with Ali. He needs to continue and maybe make a singles push. Rowan kind of just seems like a C talent right now, and you're putting him in there with a program with the A guy. And I know from time to time you got to do that, but I just, when it was Rowan, it was like, it would have been interesting if it was Seth, if it was something crazy, something out of the ordinary. Yes. But Rowan was like, okay, whatever.
Can I tell you another reason why I'm not really invested?
Go ahead.
I feel like this was incredibly rushed, and it hasn't had time to breathe. It feels like you get these 2-minute segments at the end of SmackDown, back-to-back weeks. I think the most compelling thing was the hit and run on Monday. I thought that was probably the most compelling, and that was because they showed the action. They then gave it time to breathe. You know, these little segments on SmackDown, it's like they cram it into the final 2 minutes of the show, and they're trying to leave you with a cliffhanger, but it's done so poorly and it's so rushed. This is something that if you wanted to go in this direction, you needed to start laying the groundwork and the footwork for this probably a month and a half ago. And let this build, give it a little bit of time to breathe. Let us all have on the edge of our seat who did what, who is what, what's going on here. That's what you needed to do. And then for it to be Eric Rowan, you're just kind of like, wah, 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 wah. You know, it's if he would have said it's Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan was in the ring and he was demonstrative and he looked like he was a psychopath, it would have been awesome. You'd have been like, all right, cool, I can get behind this. It's Eric Rowan and maybe Daniel Bryan. Like there's no confirmation that it was even Daniel Bryan. It's just Eric Rowan.
It's Eric Rowan.
You know what I'm saying? And you're assuming Daniel Bryan's guilty because of association. It's like this whole storyline is absolute shit. It's not. It's just garbage. And it's just because it was rushed and it hasn't had time to breathe and it was put together poorly. None of this makes sense. You're right. If it was Seth Rollins, oh my God. That's a storyline right there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So you and I agree. SmackDown, a little bit boring. Raw wins the week, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Raw leads 36 and a no credit to SmackDown's 57.5. You want to get into predictions?
Yeah,
for SummerSlam?
SummerSlam is this Sunday. Semi-excited for a couple of these matches, but by and large, the build for this pay-per-view could have been better, but I'm definitely looking forward to talking to you about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think same thing. WWE at certain points have gone from being really hot to really cold, and I thought the way that they built this, this is one of the big four, and I think they just did a poor job putting it all together. I really do.
12 matches on the card. Let's go through it, baby.
All right, so Universal Championship, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Who you got?
Going into Fox, I don't think that WWE is going to want to put the belt on Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar retains.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brock Lesnar as well. I would love for Seth Rollins to win, but I think it's Brock Lesnar. Like you said, it's Brock Lesnar all day. WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton.
Part of me wants to give it to Randy, but I think they're liking the title reign of Kofi Kingston and what it represents, so I think it extends longer. Give me Kofi Kingston to retain.
I'm right there with you. I think Randy Orton is in a position where he is supposed to be the guy to add some validity to Kofi Kingston's title run. So Kofi Kingston will get the win here. Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch, my girlfriend, versus Natalya. This is a submissions match. I don't know if anybody knew that, but it has been made official. It is now a submissions match.
See, it's in Canada, so you want to be teased that it's going to be Natalya. Does she win it again at SummerSlam to honor her dad and things like that? It's tough. It's really tough because of the fact that it's in Canada, it's SummerSlam, it's Natalya. Do you take the belt off of Becky? But the problem is I don't see where then Becky would go. So for me, I think it's safe to say there will be a women's title change, but not this one. Give me Becky Lynch.
I've got Becky Lynch as well. What I could see happening here, and this is just kind of thinking outside the box. Do you remember the Bret Hart Stone Cold match?
Yeah.
With the red face? I think you could possibly see something like that happen here, where Becky Lynch doesn't tap out, but she passes out, and she's got the crimson mask. Don't be surprised if something like that happens, especially with Paul Heyman in charge. He doesn't mind the theatrics, and he doesn't mind the blood. So, interesting. SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley versus Ember Moon. You have already alluded to it. You're thinking Ember Moon.
I'm thinking new champ. It'd be a good time to crown somebody new. I think it's time. Give it to Ember.
All right, I'm going to go with Bayley. I just don't know why. Ember Moon doesn't do it for me. Bayley, I think, is the hotter act here. Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one, too, because one of these people has to potentially get over. That's a legend. I know you're going to have Goldberg maybe get over. So do you let Trish Stratus come in and lose in her final match? See, this is a tough one, but you know what? Charlotte's the heel. What better way than in Canada to further being a heel than to destroy Trish Stratus? And so give me Charlotte Flair.
All right. I will go Charlotte Flair as well. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to change. I'm going to go Trish Stratus, and she'll win via DQ. I think Trish will get Charlotte on the ropes, and Charlotte will go to something undermined and underhanded, and the ref will see it. Trish wins. So that way it doesn't hurt Charlotte, and Trish gets the victory in Toronto. All right, United States Championship. AJ Styles versus Ricochet.
Give me the champ. Give me the champ, baby. I know Ricochet is a guy fighting for the belt. I know that they maybe want to establish Ricochet, but I always like to pick AJ Styles, so give me that because, you know, if you're going to give the OC the push, do you cut it off right away? I mean, that's the MO of the WWE, but give me AJ Styles.
Yeah, I'm going AJ Styles as well. I had AJ Styles down for you before you even said it, and I had it down for me before I even said it. Again, like you said, you've got this monster push going with the OC. Why would you take the belt away right now? It makes no sense to do that. I know it is WWE's MO, but I just don't see that happening. Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon.
Kevin Owens all day. Should be easy.
Absolutely. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor. Who you got?
Well, I think all the marks are aware Finn Balor's taking time off, so it's going to be Bray Wyatt. I mean, talk about the worst buildup if he comes in and loses to Finn. So I don't think we see the Demon. I think it's just the Fiend, Bray Wyatt defeating Finn Balor.
I agree with you 100%. Finn Balor is going to take a couple weeks, maybe a month or two away. So Bray Wyatt is going to win this match. I expect when Finn Balor comes back, him to join the OC. It would only make sense. Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler.
You can't bring back Goldberg and not have the pop. Give me this one. Probably is going to be right there in the middle of the card. He comes in, he blows his smoke, goes down to the ring, spears Dolph Ziggler. 10-second match, in and out. We all cheer. We all get a chance to run to the bathroom, get our snack. Goldberg in a minute.
Sounds about right. So here's the deal. We've got 3 matches, and I'm not sure if any of these will be on the card, but we're including them, okay? So Sami Zayn versus Aleister Black. Now, this took place on Tuesday night, and Aleister Black said it's not going to take place on SummerSlam. I would be interested to see what WWE does. We're just going to add it just in case. If it's not there, we won't count it for anything.
Aleister Black, no doubt, just continuation.
Exactly. I'm right there with you. I don't see why you would have Aleister Black lose. I think you build him up to be an incredible monster. Intercontinental Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ali. Who wins this?
You see, it's tough because you could make a case for Ali to win it, but I think it's an
could.
opportunity for Shinsuke to continue his reign. You got to keep the belt on him, because if you give it to him only to have him drop it to Ali, you've really completely delegitimized Shinsuke.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know how you can have a title change this soon. I see Nakamura winning. I just, look, it would be great for Ali to have a belt, but not right now. I just don't see it happening. All right, so Roman Reigns. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Roman Reigns, I'm assuming that we're going to have a match at SummerSlam. I'm assuming it's going to be a tag match. So it'll be Roman Reigns, insert partner, bonus credit if you get the partner right, versus Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So first off, Roman Reigns, who do you think his tag team partner will be?
I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't know if it would make sense, but I don't see Samoa Joe anywhere on this card.
That's who I got.
Yeah, so I'm like, if Samoa Joe's not going to be in the mix, he's got to be the partner for Roman Reigns.
Absolutely. I see you having the Samoan Summit, and I think they're tag partners. So I think Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan. Who do you think wins this match?
Roman, baby. I think you got to let if he's going to get played out for a couple weeks, you got to let him get over on the heel. So give me Roman Reigns.
I'm right there with you in lockstep. Same thing. Look, you've had basically 2 weeks or so of Roman Reigns trying to be assassinated. What better way for him to come back and pop somebody in the mouth than to get a big win at SummerSlam? Him and Samoa Joe. It would be interesting if they were a tag team. Honestly, it would be. You could have two of the baddest mofos in WWE.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Teamed up together. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be really, really interesting.
And one point of contention in the assassination attempt, if you're going to have a camera on a car, just don't have it on the car that's doing the driving. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. The way the whole thing was filmed was absolutely atrocious. It was awful. I didn't understand. It was dumb. I didn't like it. All right. So just to recount real quick, calling the card, Doc currently leads 11 to 10.5. So going through what we picked, we have a couple areas where we differ. Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus. I've got Trish Stratus. You have Charlotte Flair. Women's SmackDown Championship. You've got Ember Moon. I've got Bayley. And I think that's it. Yep. That would be
12
it.
matches.
So, those two.
That's going to be a good pay-per-view. I think it's going to be worth it, a little long, but if you take breaks in a timely manner, then it's okay.
Yep. Real quick, I want to talk AEW with you real fast before we move into the news and notes segment. CM Punk. There's been a lot of speculation about CM Punk and whether or not he's to come back and wrestle. Let's just do a hypothetical. Let's say CM Punk is coming back to wrestle. Would you rather him sign with WWE, AEW, ROH, Impact, or just stay the indie darling? And why?
I would say if he does come back, he comes back with AEW. They could tell the best stories. They could put him over. There are better matchups. It would be fresh. I just think that it would be more of the same in WWE. It's a no-brainer. There is an argument to be made that he could go to be on the indie scene and just go all around, but AEW provides the best opportunity to cheer, pop, and to have dream matches all across the board. CM Punk, Jon Moxley, CM Punk, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, Cody. You just have to do it at AEW.
I think AEW would make the most logical sense. I think it would really help solidify them. I think they're already solidified, but it would really ingrain and emboss them. And they would go from being on this level where WWE is number one. It would basically put them just a hair below WWE. Right now, they're a notch below. It would put them a hair below. I find it interesting that if he was to go to ROH, you would now have 3 legitimate wrestling organizations. I think he would catapult ROH to a next level. So you'd have WWE as number one. A notch below that would be AEW. I think ROH would then be a notch below AEW. I think it would be interesting if he was to go there. Remember, he wrestled for ROH. He loved his time in ROH. ROH was kind of his catapult to WWE. All that being said, if it wasn't AEW, I think he would stay in the indies. I think he loves indie wrestling. It allows him the freedom to do what he wants to do, and it would be, I think, the most interesting if he was to do indie wrestling.
Yeah, no doubt about it. CM Punk, the name that keeps delivering content. We all can't wait to see. It'll be interesting to see what he talks about at StarCast as well. I think he's due for a long-form podcast, and maybe if it works out, maybe we'll see Jericho interview CM Punk if they can ink the deal. All right, hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes.
So a ton this week as we head into Summerslam. This past weekend, the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, took out the Tampa Bay Rays mascot with a flying crossbody after throwing out the first pitch before the Rays game on Sunday. Kane is to make his WWE re-debut. He's being advertised for house shows later this month. He's on the card for the August 23rd live event in Bossier City, Louisiana, and the August 24th house show in Lafayette, Louisiana. Dave Meltzer is reporting that SmackDown Live will keep their 4-day touring schedule when they move to Fox in October. He's reporting that weekly SmackDown loop will include a Thursday live event, SmackDown airing live on Friday on Fox, and then 2 live events on Saturday and Sunday night. There was once a plan. This is the little nudge for Rey Mysterio and Andrade. So there was once a plan for Rey Mysterio and Andrade to face off against each other in a hair versus mask Luchas de Apuertas match at WrestleMania 35. For me, my inner child is like, yes, give this to me now. I want this all. This is going to be awesome. The plan was nixed. It appears that Rey Mysterio isn't going to be losing his mask because he's a veteran. At this stage in his career, it wouldn't do him any good. And WWE doesn't want to give Andrade a haircut. They love his luscious locks. So no hair versus mask at WrestleMania 35 as it sits right now. Bobby Lashley is on the shelf with an injury. Apparently surgery was required to remove bone spurs from his elbow. This is the same issue that Braun Strowman had towards the tail end of last year. Lashley is on pace to be back in November. Roman Reigns says it's generous to call AEW competition for WWE. In an interview he did with Sports One in Germany, Reigns' response was regarding a question asked about Seth Rollins' comments that AEW is the new competition for WWE. And keeping you up to date on what's going on with AEW star Jon Moxley in the 2019 New Japan G1 Climax, he has now dropped 2 matches back-to-back. The first was against Yono on Thursday, and his second consecutive loss was to Jay White this past Sunday. He is now 5-2 in the B block. Sticking with AEW, they have released their locations for their next 2 Wednesday night Dynamite showings. The first one will be October 9th and then the 16th. Those shows will be in Boston on the 9th and Philadelphia on the 16th. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30. I think the 7:30 start time is a little bit weird for a wrestling program. I don't know if that's going to change in the future, but that's interesting to me. As we reported a few weeks back, it seems that Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara will likely be the very first match on AEW on the TNT Experience. So I'm not really shocked here. It really seemed like that was the way we were headed anyways. I think it'll be a great match. That's one way to kick off this new era of wrestling on TNT. Cody Rhodes is super over. Sammy Guevara is a very good wrestler. I expect a great showing from those guys. That's what I got for your news and notes.
Succinct. I like it. We came in on a good time, man. A good podcast recapping Raw, SmackDown, news with AEW. Great news for them. They sold out the first show. Cody Guevara is going to be great. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that Omega is going to be part of a tag match. I think that, I just think a guy like that needs to be featured, and they could do more with him. But obviously, he's got relationships, and it'll be nice to see who the surprise team will be with Chris Jericho. Do you think it's just an automatic lock? It's the Lucha Brothers?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah, see, it'd be cool if it was outside people that we don't know about, but it just makes sense that obviously the Lucha Brothers have, a feud going on with the Young Bucks, but it could be a surprise tag team. You never know. That's what's intriguing about it, is that right now I like the element of saying, hey, it's going to be a surprise, but I just hope maybe it's not the Lucha Brothers.
I could totally see it being the Lucha Brothers. Look, they put great matches on. It's going to be fantastic. So I can totally see that.
Great podcast recording. You can follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you've agreed or disagreed with any of the predictions or any of the topics we explored today, feel free, go head on over and download the Flick Chat application. It's Detroit Sports' newest headquarters where we can take our conversations from the podcast and extend it and have large group chat conversations and debates. We're going to be watching SummerSlam on Sunday. We're going to definitely be watching NXT. And if you're a fan of wrestling, definitely go engage and continue the process over there at Flick. They're a great sponsor of the network. They sponsor the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. The Flick Chat application, Detroit Sports' newest headquarters. Don't miss out. Get in on the mix. Right now we got about 100 followers, and we're going to keep growing it each and every month. Thank you so much, Adam. I look forward to recapping all this next week.
Absolutely, brother. Be good.